Now moving ahead, let us welcome our first speaker for today, Mr. Sumnesh Suryawanshi, Industrial IoT Delivery Manager, Infosys Ltd. Please welcome Mr. Sumnesh Suryawanshi. Sumnesh sir.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Okay, so if I'm allowed to start, I may get started now. So is it fine to get started with the today's topic?
Yes, sir. Please.
Okay. So first of all, good morning all. My name is Sumnesh Suryawanshi. As ma'am just mentioned, I'm working in Infosys in IoT services. I have extensively worked in industrial IoT, in manufacturing execution systems, and industrial automation services. For last few years, I have extensively been working with industries on their digital transformation programs. Uh, I am too alumni of this college and feel proud to have been a part of such an esteemed institute. I'm also grateful to institute for being called today to to be a part of this international webinar and of course be a part of the initiative of industry or the education 4.0. Let me share my presentation. So today I'm very much excited to talk to all young, talented, students of my own college on the topic of Industry 4.0 and Education 4.0. And I'm sure after this session, you all will develop a good understanding about what are the recommendations of Industry 4.0 framework and how industries are getting benefited out of it. And I will also give my recommendations that education is also no exception to it. So the agenda for today's presentation is first I will basically give you a good overview about what is today's industry vision, right, especially in today's competitive market. Thereafter, I will give you a glimpse of what is a degree of digitization, right, across the industry verticals. Each industry is not, selling into the, having the same set of systems and the structures. Everyone has a disruptions, right? So we'll look into those. What are the the international report says about it. Thereafter, we'll take a quick look into what is how this overall revolution has been evolved, right? What is an overall history of this industrial revolution? Thereafter, we will take a deep look into the industry 4.0 maturity framework. Thereafter, I will talk about a concept about IT, OT, and ET integration. And of course, what are the recommended methodologies for the industry who are aiming for the digital transformation journey? And thereafter, the benefits being being pursued by the industry after adopting this framework. And then I have some key takeaways for.
Sorry to intervene, sir. Your video is not much clear, sir.
Oh, is it?
Lord.
Sir, your presentation is not, we cannot see your presentation.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me share that again. I'm sharing my entire screen. I hope the presentation will be visible.
Not yet, sir. You present now?
Yeah, yes, I have done present now.
Okay.
Is it showing or not yet?
No, no, not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
So you need to share your screen. Yes, now it is
Yes, sir.
visible.
It is appearing, sir.
Sure.
Sir, start slideshow.
Yeah, I'm putting into slideshow. Okay, so I think I hope this is clear. I'm sorry for that interruption in between. So
Yes.
yeah, so let's get started. As I mentioned, my today's topic is about what is Industry 4.0 and how its relevance in education as well. So that's what the topic I have chosen for today's discussion. And my the objective is I hope the students will get a good understanding about this framework altogether. So Industry 4.0, what are the guidelines this framework have designed for the industries who are aiming for getting digital, right? So that's what the objective of today's session. And now we'll quickly look into the agenda. So the agenda is, of course, we will look into what is industry vision today. Thereafter, we'll look into what is the degree of digitization across the industries. Thereafter, we'll touch upon, before directly getting into an Industry 4.0 framework, what is an overall history of revolution in industry. And then we will talk about, briefly on the IT, OT, and integration concept, which is one of the foundation for the digital solutions. And then, of course, the methodologies recommended by this study, Industry 4.0 study for digital transformation, and the benefits what industry is ripping out of it, and then some key takeaways for education. So that's how I have packed agenda for today's presentation. Let me move on to the next slide. Yeah. So first of all, let us understand what is the industry vision, because in companies, the industry will not come to us that saying we wanted to basically get some industry 4.0 implemented. They will come with their own vision, the objectives, what they wanted to achieve, right? So as you all know, in today's competitive era, every industry would like to stay ahead in the market, right, over their competitors, by increasing their production, by lowering down the cost of their production, right, improving the quality. And of course, apart from that, in these days, every industry is looking for providing those value added services, right, to their customers. Now, I'm sure, and I think you can also add that education institutes too are no exception to this, right? Where the primary objective is to build the competent talents, right? Who can start contributing from their day first after the graduation, right? Into this digital transformation journey, taking this overall industry revolution ahead. So industries are majorly inclining towards more and more becoming safer, smarter, efficient, and sustainable, right? By adopting this next generation technologies, by adopting these digital solutions. Now, in this slide, I have represented some 12 solutions. Of course, each of the solutions are a separate topic in themselves. However, I will quickly walk you through. I will quickly walk you through what exactly each of those solutions mean to an industry. So, first of all, industries are becoming, I mean, the autonomous operation, if you talk about the industries, are becoming more and more autonomous with zero or minimal human interventions. like you would have heard, the driverless cars, or in mining, there are autonomous fleets are getting widely being used. Then of course, I think the next revolution is more around the robots, right? How the entire shop floor or the entire industry will be driven using the robots. So autonomous is one of the digital services or the solution where every industry is behind. Then the next is, of course, the remote operation. Now, remote operation, you all have experienced in the COVID-19 pandemic as well, right? How the distance learning or the online classrooms, where basically being looked as a secondary option till yesterday. But today, I think those are taking the front seat, right? So the remote operations, it's not only in education institutes, industry as well, have been seeing a lot of potential in the remote operations services. Cyber security is one of an important aspect, because as industries are getting more and more digital, on the other side they also need to be secured from the cyber threats. And cyber threats or the cyber theft, and this is not only industry, even an individual is basically need to basically secured from the cyber threats or the cyber contents. Now, next is basically the industries are also looking for becoming more and more agile for responding to the changing needs of the market quickly, right? Like you have seen the COVID-19 pandemic, all industries are now basically changing themselves in order to basically adapt to live with the pandemic, like in COVID-19. Even the institutes are living, right? We have not stopped working, and everyone is getting adaptable to those change. So that agility, adaptability is one an important aspect of every industry, every organization. Live connected platforms, right? The communication and the collaboration services platforms, like the one which we are using, are also basically being widely being asked by industry. The real-time insights and visualization for enabling the faster decision making is, of course, surveillance can be leveraged for inspection activities across the quality and the maintenance operations, in addition to the safety. Then the integrated or connected assets, systems, and the supply chain operations enable the complete digital thread having a single source of truth across the enterprises. Then, of course, the green power or the low carbon footprint from an regulatory and legislative compliance perspective. And the next one is the augmented reality. Augmented reality is not only going to play a vital role in industries, but also proposing a new educational paradigm, right? Which incorporates the use of interactive augmented reality for the acquisition, for the improvement, application of knowledge, the manual skills in the professional activity. And of course, the predictive and the prescriptive business is what the industry 4.0 is to recommending as their last stage of implementation. So I hope this would have given you an overview of industry vision and the digital transformation solutions what industry is looking for. Now let us try to take a look into what is the degree of digitization across the industries. Now, this is of course the World Economic Forum report in 2017, where they had done the study of what sort of an automation each industry has today in place, assessing their maturity to take forward the digital transformation journey. And you could see education is in a grade 2, right? And education also has a lot of potential to basically take over these digital transformation programs to make them enable in this digital era. Moving on to the next slide. Now let us look into the industrial revolution history, which is quite interesting. Uh, the first industrial revolution began with the mechanization, right, in 18th century. So what had happened is in a textile industry, the weaving work was being carried out by humans, right? And this is the first time when a mechanized loom got introduced for the weaving work. So that was the industry 1.0, where we started getting more and more mechanized in terms of living off our manual work. In the beginning, the industry 2.0, in the beginning of the 20th century, the second industrial revolution was triggered, and this revolution was triggered by electrification, right? So mechanization augmented with electrical energy enabled the mass production. And I think Ford had introduced their first assembly line, which is and they are the pioneer in terms of the industry 2.0, where they started the mass production. Now further, in a industry 3.0, the electronics, the microelectronics, the computers involvement, basically the programmable machines, right, enabling the flexible production. So till industry 2.0, it was a mass production, but there was no variety of products. But with the help of the computers, the electronics, we can basically start programming the machines, right, giving that flexible production with the variety of products. And of course, in this era, the first PLC was introduced. I think it was a Modicon 084 PLC. Now, today we are in the fourth industrial revolution, which we all know was triggered by the development of the information and the communication technologies. And its technological basis is integrating the cyber and the physical systems, of course, with a decentralized control and advanced connectivity. That's how the industry 4.0 is being looked at. Of course, I have included an interesting slide on what is an IT, OT, and ET integration, which basically represents the concept of the cyber and the physical systems connectivity. So we'll look into that into the subsequent slides. Now, moving on to the next, let's. I hope you're following me. Now let's move on to the next slide, where we'll take a deep look into what is the industry 4.0 framework. So this is a very interesting framework. So this framework was developed, or it was published in Hanover in 2017 to provide a structured pathway, or for that matter, the guidelines to industries who are visioning to embark on digital transformation journey. Now, one interesting thing on this is, the Aachen University, and Aachen University has this ACATEC, an Academy of Science and Engineering in Germany. They form a consortium, including all the manufacturing industries, the experts from all the industry verticals, the technology partners, and of course, the scientific and the technical and the engineering institutes. So they all worked together to study and establish an holistic approach to translate the industry 4.0 capabilities into measurable and realistic business value. And just one quote here is, this is the testimony of power of education institutes, because the universities were at the core of this consortium for developing this industry 4.0 framework. So you can of course can see what is the power of education institutes or universities. Now this testimony, of course, now let's talk about more on the framework. That this framework provides an approach to enterprises to assess what is their current readiness, right? And what is the current readiness, their stage of implementation to basically take a path of this digital transformation journey. As shown in the figure, this is the successive progression implementation, right? Right from visibility through transparency, predictability to adaptability. We'll look into what each of these blocks means, right, in detail. Now, the first phase of implementation is a visibility into operations, right? What exactly is happening in my operations? Uh, Generally, this visibility, the industry got, the industry got this visibility by connecting the shop floor systems, right? Using the technology power of sensors, the IoT gateways, and of course the communication technologies, the wireless or the wired networks, the Wi-Fi networks, for providing the real-time insights, enabling the faster decision making. Now, after you got the visibility, the next phase of implementation is bringing in the transparency, right? For an example, I got visibility that my certain machine, right, in my plant is going down frequently, right? I came to know that, over my dashboards by connecting, in the real time to the shop floor systems that, I'm there is a machine which is getting down, right, frequently, and which is enabling me to take an decisions that, okay, let's get it repaired or let's get it started again quickly, right? That's what the visibility gave me. But the transparency in the industry is looking for the transparency. Why is this happening? I came to know what is happening, but the next phase is, why is this happening? If certain production machine is frequently going down, then what is the root cause of it, right? To prevent a reoccurrence of such a incidents in the environment. And this sort of transparency, right, is basically brought using of course some machine learning algorithms, and this started basically supporting the enterprises in improving an overall availability of the machine and thereby improving the efficiency and production throughput. Now, of course, the next phase is the predictability. Now we understood that we started taking the preventive measures by measuring the condition of the machine in terms of before it goes down. I started basically taking an action on it, or before it goes down, I started basically taking some preventive measures, some preventive maintenance. But industry started looking, can someone basically predict the useful life of the asset, the useful life of an equipment? And that's what basically the next phase of the implementation got into the picture. So in this example which I talked about, the failure of the machines, in the predictability, the useful life of the equipment is basically predicted by using, of course, the machine learning algorithms, and of course using the data analytics, the platforms, right? The IoT sort of a platforms, the AI platform, that what is basically made the predictability of the environment possible. Now, the last stage of the implementation is making an overall enterprise the learning, agile, and fully autonomous, right? With no human intervention. Of course, artificial intelligence is empowering this cognitive and prescriptive actions to the industry events. I hope this is clear. If there are any questions, I would be more happy to take those at the end of the session. Now, this all has been evolved through some disruptive technologies, like I have just mentioned on the slide, right? From cyber and physical systems, the the pervasive connectivity, the big data processing, advanced analytics, smart applications and services. That's how basically are the enablers of making this framework of implementation successful. Now, let's understand a concept of what is an IT, OT, and the ET integration. Correct? Because as I spoken earlier, integration of this information, operation, and engineering technologies for enabling a single source of truth is the foundation of a digital transformation solutions in any industry. Now, if you see IT is basically is nothing but the business solutions like an ERP, which is the backbone of managing your business operations for any enterprise, right? And these IT solutions basically manages the HR functions, the asset management functions, the material management, procurement, uh, marketing, right? All of these business functions of an enterprise are being managed through the IT services. Correct. Now, what is the OT services? Now, the OT operational technology basically includes all the shop floor and the production management systems, which includes your sensors attached to your assets for sensing and the measuring, the programmable logic controllers, the RTUs, the HMIs, SCADAs, historian, and MES, the manufacturing execution systems. They all compose together as an operational technologies. And the third pillar is, of course, is about an engineering technology. So engineering technology includes all your systems which are being used for supporting an enterprise, the product or the process design, the drawings, the product specifications, the process specifications. So all those being managed into this enterprise systems. Now, as the industry is basically getting into on the journey of digital transformation, everyone would like to basically get a single source of truth across what exactly the product what exactly has been designed in an engineering systems. If the design or the specifications are clear, then the MOM systems, which are the actual operational technology systems, can work in more cohesive manner, right, in terms of the production. And with both engineering and the operational technologies, if they are connected well, right, together with an IT systems, the overall enterprise can work together, avoiding all the inefficiencies in the enterprise. That's what is about an IT, OT, and ET integration. We will see its relevance into our education institutes as well on the subsequent slides. Now, quickly look into what Industry 4.0 study is recommending, the methodology for the industry. So we all know the road towards the Industry 4.0 will be different for every company, right? It is therefore necessary to begin by analyzing each company's current situation, each company's corporate strategy, their goals, their objectives, right? And of course, along with that, what technologies and systems are already implemented, right, and how they operate within the company. So this input is very much needed, right? Once we have an answers to those inputs or those questions, those can be used in determining which capabilities the company will still need to acquire in order to basically successfully introduce this Industry 4.0 or successfully get onto the digital solutions, right? So understanding what are the desired benefits, understanding the missing capabilities, and then of course prioritizing the needed capabilities according to the business or the corporate objectives and the vision, is together going to basically formulate your overall the digital roadmap, the roadmap for your digital transformation journey. Now, uh, in this, generally how industries do work, of course they do an intense assessment of an enterprise in terms of understanding all these aspects, right right from an strategy, what exactly the current systems they have in place, what they wanted to achieve, what are their bottlenecks, what are the missing capabilities, right? And accordingly they will form with the best of, there are the industry templates which will basically give an index of what is the maturity of that particular enterprise, and based on that, then overall the roadmap for the digital transformation journey is laid out. Now, once you have the roadmap, the next important thing is about implementing the digital solution. Now, digital solutions is not a sort of a commodity where every the solution, if you have developed one solution, it can be leveraged across the industries, right? It doesn't use like a commodity. So for every industry, you will have to basically identify what are those use cases, right? Once you have identified the use cases, you can further develop a POC, a proof of concept, or a MVP, a minimal viable product, right, for that particular use case, and then you will basically will basically validate that MVP or that POC. And during the validation, you will also basically refine or repair to make this as a final product. And then further, basically making this overall solution industrializing or scaling is what is the next stage. That's how the industry follows. Okay, now moving on to the next slide here, I have mentioned few key benefits what Industry 4.0 is delivering. Of course, improved productivity is an of course industry have seen a productivity improved by more than 15%, or for some industry it is more than 20%. That's what they have seen. Quality have been drastically improved. We have also seen the cost of production have been decreased by 3 to 4% depending upon the type of the industry. We have also seen innovation with this sort of a framework, even industry, because the industry is coming more and more closer. There is a more and more collaboration across the teams, right, across the departments, which is basically giving more ideas, and innovation is becoming a culture. It's not one of the blue moon, but it is becoming a sort of a culture to them. And the industries are becoming more and more agile and adaptable, as we just talked about, the changing the enterprises themselves in order to basically make sure that the changes happening in the market are aligning to the what the business we have been delivering, right, to. So the industries are becoming more and more agile and adaptable are what the key benefits we have been seeing through an Industry 4.0 framework. Now, here is my my last slide for today's presentation, where I have basically tried to put some key takeaways for education universities, right? What we have, what is my view on the education 4.0, leveraging the Industry 4.0. So as you have seen, this whole industrial internet consortium was formed. It's a consortium formed leveraging all the experts from the industries, the technical institutes, the engineering institutes. Then we had the technology partners, right? Whether it is a software, hardware. So all of they have come together and they have formed the consortium, and they basically lay down this study in terms of what industries are looking for, and they basically come up with this sort of a framework. So, and as I mentioned earlier, of course, the education institutes were at the core of this. So this shows that there is a power within education universities or the institutes to basically lay down such a programs. And I strongly encourage, if in India as well, if we could have some sort of platform or foundation which will basically make this collaborative studies on industries is going to get benefited across all the gamuts in the industry, and this will be leveraged not only in India but worldwide. So that's one a key takeaway I have seen, or it's my observation. The second one is, of course, we talked about the IT, OT, and the ET integration. If you see closely into these three components, you will realize that engineering technologies are nothing but what a mechanical engineer can basically deliver, or a production engineer has an ability to basically manage those sort of systems. Similarly, if you see the OT systems like in PLCs, DCS, SCADA, you could see a value of instrumentation and the control engineer along with the electrical and the electronics engineer, because all your sensors are are based on your embedded technologies, the controllers, the microprocessors. So these are basically coming together in terms of making or creating or managing these operational technology systems. Similarly, information technologies, of course, all these ERP and how the manual work can be automated using the computers, or of course is the core strength of our computer engineers and the information technology engineers. Correct. So we have seen in industry till yesterday there were strong barriers. One, the IT never used to talk to OT, or for that matter even the ERP or the business systems used to work in a standalone fashion. But industry is now shifting from these silos models of operandi to a more integrated team across the enterprises, right? Which is made up of all the different departments, right? For enabling more and more communication, more and more collaboration. So one of the recommendation here I could see, or is education institutes too can basically start collapsing the walls between the different engineering disciplines. We can propose a syllabus which is more cohesive, right? Across these different disciplines, making adhering to what industry is looking for. And that way I think we will be able to, because our primary objective is to produce the talents which will be easily be able to get absorbed into this industrial revolution journey, right? And that will certainly be able to support the industries as well through the educational institutes. And for this, we can even start taking some baby steps as well by, of course, our institute or universities would be doing right now. Like if you are doing some project work, let's have the project work, across the departments, where we can form composite teams. If we have some seminars, let's basically form a composite team. Start having, of course, hackathon is a good initiative to make that collaboration as well and getting those ideas as well. So I think these sort of things we can certainly look for, which is a learning from an industry 4.0 for an institute. Yeah, so that's it I have for today's presentation. I hope I have some 2 minutes extra, so I'm sorry for that. But I hope this would have helped students, especially in getting some good understanding about what is an Industry 4.0 framework all about.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. I also have the instrumentation background, and you are being our alumni. You contributed in this event also as our family member. Thank you so much, sir. And by your presentation, we came to know the IT, OT, ET, and the invention is becoming culture. All these things are known to us now. Thank you so much, sir. We will proceed to question answer sessions.
Sure.
Yes, sir. The first question is from Nitin Mane, sir, of Instrumentation Department. To cope up with technology disruption, what changes should made in present education system? Sir,
So,
please. Yes, sir.
yeah, so I just talked about, right, to cope up with these technological disruptions, of course, the first thing is we should not basically look into, in a silos mode of, I will basically get only into an instrumentation or the control aspects of the topics, right, or for that matter, the syllabus. We know how computers or IT are enabling, are the enablers even for the instrumentation and control systems as well. Because if there are no controls, no IT or no computer systems, this wouldn't have been possible. Similarly, even the microelectronics or the embedded systems are playing a vital role in this. All your sensors are basically built with all those microcontrollers, microprocessors. So to basically build our talents to this technological interruptions, certainly we will have to basically make sure that we are collapsing these walls and working cohesively. We can promote, the projects or some sort of an initiative within the institutes, which will help students to understand, what is basically happening on the other side of the wall. I hope that would have answered Manesal's question.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Next question is ERP play vital and important role in management information systems in Industry 4.0?
Yeah, of course. The ERP, as I mentioned in my presentation as well, so there is no replacement to an ERP solution. Industry will still need those HR functions. Industry will still need a strong procurement system. Industry will still need the sales and the marketing functions. Right? What is happening is industry, all these ERP systems, of course, it's a backbone, but the ERP systems are communicating directly to the shop floor system. So what exactly ERP systems does, they basically are being used for the planning purpose, whereas the actual production happens on the shop floor. So in order to keep your planning and your actuals in a sync, it is necessary to basically talk these two systems together. So to answer to your questions, yes, ERP as well is going to play a key role in this overall journey.
Yes, sir. This question was from Ravindra Lahani, sir. Now the next question is from Sachin Marzapure. How individual can prepare himself to equip with sudden changes in Industry 4.0?
So sudden changes in the Industry 4.0, so sudden changes basically happens around the enterprises. So Industry 4.0 is, of course, is the framework which is basically helping you to cope up with those changes in terms of understanding where exactly my maturity index is, or how I am progressing. So it's basically giving you a foundation, and to cope up with the changes which are happening around the industries. Of course, the industries need to develop this learnable model, right? So, see, one important aspect is how industries run is, of course, because of some manpower, right? So there is a knowledge within those people. Now, if those people are moving out, right, then I think it is very difficult to run those industries. So what and of course, to basically make more agile to the changes which are happening in the industry, we need the environment, the enterprise to be more into a learning culture, right? Probably I just wanted to give an example that to reduce the human dependency, the knowledge models are as well being built into an AI platform, where the entire technical manuals of the products are getting digitized into an AI platform. So some issue occurs, right? Generally, some issue occurs in a particular asset or an equipment. Generally, we call the maintenance engineer or a repair engineer. We have dependency on him, right? But now with the digitization of these knowledge models, or for that matter, how similar problem was solved by this engineer in the past is basically will promote you a cognitive or a prescriptive sort of a maintenance. So that's how the industry is tending towards too. So I think making yourself adaptable to the changes is, of course, is coming through a learning environment. Thank you.
Yes, sir. The last question is, how universities or educational institutes play active role towards social innovations through Industry 4.0, considering society first? This question is from HOD IT, Dr. Preeti Patil.
Sure. I think that's a very good question. Of course, the university, as I mentioned in my presentation as well, universities are basically a core in this entire Industry 4.0 gamut, because they have basically done this study involving all the different industries and the experts, and they have come up with this sort of a framework or the guidelines for the industry to take the overall next generation solutions. Now, towards the society, of course, we know, especially in the COVID-19 scenario, if you could see, right, how the next generation technologies are helping the society. Now, in this COVID-19 situation in Infosys, we all know that doing making sure that each individual is safe and secure is of course everybody's priority. And having said that, keeping himself, there is also an equal social responsibility of keeping the others as well safe. Correct? Now, if someone really wanted to basically understand whether a person has some symptoms of the COVID or not, right? We can't basically keep a manual interface to that, because the manual interface, whoever is basically doing the testing of that person, there are high chances that he also get acquainted with the disease pandemic. Correct? So to avoid that, Infosys has basically come up with a thermal camera solution. So this we have basically implemented yesterday only in our facilities, where each and every individual get scanned through a thermal cameras, which will basically will take the photos of his face, his nose, ears, right? And the thermal camera will basically capture whether the individual is showing the symptoms of the temperature, or the symptoms of the disease what we have basically formed in that AI model, right? So all those causes have been basically inbuilt into that algorithm, and is currently helping, and it is widely used in institute. And this solution is towards the society only.
Yes. Thank you so much. On behalf of IQAC Cell, DYPCOE Akurdi, I thank you so much, sir, for sharing your very valuable words.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being called on this presentation. And
yes. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Sumnesh?
Yeah, sure.
Sir, you have covered all the points related to Industry 4.0, wherein I was listening right from the very beginning. You have covered about industrial vision, revolution, IT, OT, and ET integration. And you have also spoken about some of the methodology recommended for the digital transformation. Your presentation is excellent. It's very excellent. It is the need of our, at least we came to know about the Industry 4.0 through our own alumni of instrumentation department. And I have one simple question to you. What kind of research is going on in industry related to cyber physical systems?
So on this cyber and the physical systems, OT, the operational technology environment, which is the actual shop floor systems. In industry, generally the shop floor systems are kept away from the enterprise systems, because shop floor systems are also in these days are widely using the computers, the information technology, right? And we all know that tweaking the program in the computer, right? Cyber threats is a normal. It's very common. and industry have seen such destructions in the past as well. So from a cyber security perspective, especially the OT systems are vulnerable to all the cyber threats. So industry is basically OT cybersecurity is a new area which is coming up and is widely being adopted across the industries. And in that, basically segregating the network, they called it as, what.
Sumnesh sir?
I think he logged off, madam.
Yes. I think network problem. Ma'am.
But it is an excellent presentation. Shall we wait for him?
Hello, Sumnesh sir? No, ma'am. He is not there.
Okay. Let us switch over to the next presentation. Aarti.
Yes.
To Aarti.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. All the participants are requested to mute their audios and videos